Welcome to Real Estate U with Letty Ann.
Season 2 podcast, Real Estate U with Letty Ann, and we want to welcome back Simeon Kanya. Simeon, glad you're back.
Me too. Woo! Good to be here.
So Simeon is with Family Union Insurance,
right?
A local family-owned insurance company, Kansas, licensed in Kansas and Missouri, as well as Colorado.
Right.
So for those of you here in the Kansas City metropolitan area, if you own a home or property in Colorado and want to insure it, maybe it's your second home, reach out, contact information below for Simeon, and maybe he'll help you with some rates, some better rates, and maybe some better service. Welcome.
Thanks, Letty. It is good to be here. I know we got some good stuff to get into on episode 2, so I'm excited to answer a couple questions for you.
Me too. So in talking about homeowners, and there's homeowners, of course, that have lived in their home for decades.
Right.
And I might venture to guess that they've had the same insurance company for decades. So,
right.
I mean, do you just feel like they're comfortable? They probably haven't pulled out their policy. You know, why are you laughing so hard? This is funny.
Yeah.
I mean, because you must...
all the time.
Okay.
Yeah, you run into it all the time. You know, these have been such great questions, you know, that you're coming up with. You know, you know a lot about insurance.
I do.
Probably from
I'm learning from
all
you.
the homes and things.
Well, yeah, homeowners, of course, because it's very, very important.
Yeah, and you know, it's great. It's great to have an education on the insurance, you know, because then when something happens and you need to use it, you know, it's important. So yeah, I was laughing because I think it's funny. I run into that all the time. You know, people have been with the company for a really long time, and I think loyalty is amazing. You know, just honestly, not every carrier, you know, agrees with that. So, you know, from my experience, I would say I've never worked with, you know, probably 90% of people that I work with that have been with the company over 8 years. They're usually paying $600 to $800 more a year for the exact same thing I could get them with another carrier.
So why is that?
You know,
why are they paying more?
There's no competition.
So the longevity, inevitably, they're just paying whatever they're dictated to pay.
Yeah.
But if you're telling me as a homeowner, well, I can save you money on your homeowner's insurance, but I'm complacent. And I've been with this company for years.
Or loyal, you know,
loyal.
Or you think it's helping you.
But I hear you tell me I'm going to save money, and a little bit, I get a little itchy going,
right.
Well, how do I know you're going to offer as much or more than what I'm getting now for less money? So
right.
You probably need to really explain quickly to someone that when you go, I can save you money on your insurance.
Right.
Because people don't want to get less coverage for less. You see what I'm saying?
Totally. Totally. Yeah. So the best explanation for that and how we train all the agents is don't only save them money, because even if it looks exactly the same, always get them better coverage as well.
Right.
You know, ask them good questions and find out things. A lot of the time what we do is we ask a lot of questions and we find things that they weren't insured on before, because a lot of personal property has limits, about $2,500 per different categories like jewelry and things. So we ask people questions about that, and then we add that coverage. And so not only are we saving them a lot of money with a great new policy that, you know, like that whole thing, we've talked to the roofers, and so we know which companies pay out, which ones don't. We have a company that's going to pay the claims. We've insured personal property that wasn't even insured on the last policy, and they're saving $800 a year. Someone will be willing to switch at that point. But you're right. You got to increase the value and you got to save them money. Yeah. And really that comes from asking questions and also, you know, letting them know that, you know, hey, we've talked to some roofers and things. We suggest you should talk to some roofers or some contractors, people who do work. Do insurance companies pay claims? Which ones do? If somebody does that, they'll start feeling a lot more comfortable.
I think oftentimes insurance is that necessary, and I don't mean any disrespect, the necessary evil. We just bought another car. Well, we got to get in. Yeah. We just got I mean, it's just like, we got to hurry up and get that because we just got our son's car, and oh my word, we need to get that insured like tonight.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's a hurry up thing. Yeah. But then it's in place and people sort of move that piece of paper aside and go on with their life. But for those who have had
Right.
the same home, the loyalty with the same company for a decade or more, things in their life have changed likely. Maybe they added a pool. I mean, I'm sure they have different coverage, but I mean, what if they forgot something?
Right.
Or what if they added something in those 10
Right.
years? So even
Right.
an insurance review, they could ask their current carrier for a review, but then they can reach out to you or in another company to shop and say, am I really in my best place? Is that right?
Right. Yeah, Lydia, I mean, that is so right. I think it's great because personal property changes, things about your dwelling change. Not only that, but honestly, your rates have probably been going up, over several years. And so it's good to keep that carrier honest by, a little healthy competition, reaching out, asking some questions, getting a quote, especially, for one of those companies we talked about, that would be an independent carrier. They can go out and they've got several options for you. That's a super efficient way. You get one quote, it turns into 40 quotes, that type of thing.
Smart. It's
Right.
smart.
Time efficient, easy, right.
So we're when this episode airs, we're going to be entering into or in springtime. What advice or what's a couple of tips you could provide the homeowner with regard to here comes spring? What can we do to prepare? Or
Okay. Okay, so a huge one in the spring is, honestly, it's a really good time to make sure you know what your coverages are, what you're paying for, because wind and hail, can be a big thing. Big rainstorms. Another one though would actually be trees, believe it or not. So you wanna look around at your property. A lot of people can have some overgrown trees, and they're just going to get a little more overgrown, especially if some things you notice were struggling and even dying over the winter, and they're just not quite doing well.
do you mean trees hanging over the house overgrown, or just trees in the yard, or shrubs in the
Right.
yard, or are you talking about the dwelling itself?
Over your property,
Right.
yeah. So
That's
if
a
you've got
big
an
no-no.
RV, a
Go.
car, your property, yeah, definitely a problem.
And the problem is what ultimately will result in what?
Those trees, especially, in Missouri, we've got a lot of different
Big
types of
trees.
trees. Yeah, the weather is kind of harsh, and some of the trees can be big and have little roots, and whole thing can fall over in a nice windstorm, or you've got huge branches that'll fall off.
So you're saying call an arborist to check out the condition of some trees
Yeah.
that you might think are questionable?
Yeah, or, for our company, we just recommend people call us. We've got a couple arborists that we'll send them out there for free.
I love that. Is that the benefit of local?
Yeah, I think that's the benefit of local,
Solve problems for people along the way?
Yeah, and, you've been around a long time, so you've seen a thing or two,
And be proactive.
Right.
Yeah.
Proactive.
So someone who buys a home, they're new to the neighborhood, they just moved in, they're starting to meet their neighbors. What's something that they can do to be proactive?
Yeah, that's a really good one. You definitely want to talk to the neighbors when you move in. They might not be the most extroverted people, but maybe try to find one that's a little more, and talk to them, ask them some questions, ask them if their basement's ever flooded before. Ask them, wind is actually sometimes locational. So some areas have worse wind than other areas.
Right.
So ask them about the whole tree thing. If you ever had tree limbs fall over, that type of stuff. You can also ask them about break-ins and all that good stuff too.
And you'll be surprised what that neighbor knows about the house you just purchased. They're going to know everything about it. And it can be scary. I've seen it.
Right.
But they're going to tell you stuff that maybe you didn't hear before, whether good or bad. So
Right.
talk to your neighbors.
Right. And if you're too shy to talk to your neighbors, which a lot of us are, ask your insurance agent to do it for you, or your real estate agent, right?
Right. I'll be going door to door inviting them to the open house. So
Right.
that's a service that we offer. So we have a buyer just purchased a new home. We do an open house, invite the neighbors, and it helps everyone because neighbors. Isn't that great?
That's awesome. Wow,
It is brilliant.
Yeah.
Because now it takes the pressure off the neighbors to go, what are we going to take them a pie? And when are we going to do it? And oh my word. Or you can just stop at the open house and meet them.
Right.
And I'm there and we all answer each other's questions and it's a
Right.
beautiful thing. So
Right.
That's great.
we have just a couple of minutes left, Andy's telling me. So, Simeon, In closing,
Yeah.
I mean, I've learned a lot from you right now.
Me too.
Yeah, from me.
Yeah, that whole that whole thing about the open house, that's cool.
It is brilliant. So I want to reiterate one. So oftentimes we have occupancy prior to close for a real estate deal. That's when a buyer and the seller aren't prepared to close yet, but the seller's granting permission for the buyer to take occupancy prior to close.
Okay.
It's not the most ideal situation, but it does happen for various reasons.
Yeah.
So and I'm in the middle of that now with a homeowner of a listing I have.
Okay.
I said, please change your policy for the next 2 weeks to be non-owner occupied. Because if they forget to do that, the homeowner, property owner is no longer living there.
Yeah.
You're making a face. What's that about?
Yeah,
If something happens,
right.
So it's almost like it's a rental property, even though it's not, because it's non-owner occupied. So although the rate is higher, because you're covering people that aren't your family, that doesn't sound right, but you know what I mean. Have you had that experience?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's definitely a thing. Also you don't want your property sitting vacant, for too long as well.
Oh, right. Even if it's not occupancy before close, if you've moved out and now it's vacant, you're going to want to call your insurance company and get that changed.
Right. Usually, it depends on your policy, but usually after 60 days, your whole policy could be void. And you'd need to insure it differently, which we can do. It's no problem, really easy. But if it never gets done, and that insurance carrier has one reason not to pay your claim, which is not what you want.
Yeah, and so get in touch be mindful of what you're doing at your home, and be sure to include your homeowner's insurance person.
Insurance agent, real estate agent.
Got it. So thank you so much for tuning in. I've so enjoyed talking to Simeon today.
Likewise.
Family Union Insurance, contact information
Correct.
below, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.